It often begins without warning. You wake up, plant your feet on the floor, and suddenly your legs feel heavy, almost foreign. Some seniors describe it as if the muscles have forgotten how to obey the brain's commands. In other cases, a sudden wobble leads to a near fall or an actual one. For many, over 60 mornings are the most dangerous part of the day. Doctors often see hip fractures, ankle sprains, and even strokes happen right after waking. It sounds terrifying, and the truth is, it should be. Because these events are not always the result of age alone, they can be triggered by a single overlooked morning habit. As a neurologist specializing in senior health, I've seen countless patients fall into this silent trap. Take Mrs. Linda, a 72-year-old retired teacher. She prided herself on living healthily, no smoking, limited alcohol, daily walks. Yet one winter morning, as she stood up from bed, her knees buckled. She hit the floor, fracturing her wrist. When I spoke with her later, she confessed that she often skipped a crucial step in her morning routine because she thought it wasn't that important. Her story is far from unique. What looks like a simple oversight becomes the perfect setup for muscle weakness, balance loss, and catastrophic injuries. Here's the unexpected truth. The body is most vulnerable right after waking, not in the evening. During the night, circulation slows, joints stiffen, and muscles lose their readiness to fire. Seniors in particular experience reduced blood flow to the legs because aging naturally stiffens arteries and lowers the heart's pumping efficiency. When you stand up too quickly or move before the body is prepared, those weakened legs can betray you. It's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. The scary part is that most seniors blame themselves. They think I'm just getting older or my legs aren't what they used to be. But in reality, the culprit often lies in a missing morning habit, a step so basic that many dismiss it. And yet this very habit could mean the difference between keeping strong, dependable legs and facing weeks in a hospital bed after a fall. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Your feedback means everything. Now let me be clear. The solution isn't about buying expensive supplements, joining a fancy gym, or adding more pills to your cabinet. What we are talking about is something you can do at home starting tomorrow morning that restores circulation, reawakens muscle strength, and prevents those terrifying moments of imbalance. Think again about Mrs. Linda. After her fracture healed, we worked together to rebuild her routine. Within just 6 weeks of consistently practicing one simple morning change, her legs felt stronger, her steps more confident, and her balance steadier than she'd experienced in years. She often told me, "I wish I had known this before the fall." And that is why I'm sharing this with you now, because you deserve to know that your mornings don't have to be filled with fear, stiffness, or weakness. You deserve the strength and confidence to start every day safely. But which morning habit am I talking about? And why is it so critical after the age of 60? To understand that, we first need to look at what happens to your circulation and muscles overnight, and why skipping this one habit can silently rob your legs of the power you desperately need when you rise from bed. When most people think of aging, they picture wrinkles, gray hair, or slower reflexes. But one of the most overlooked changes happens deep inside the blood vessels. Circulation slows, arteries become less flexible, and blood takes longer to reach the muscles, especially in the legs. That's why mornings can be treacherous for seniors. After lying still for hours, the body's pump system doesn't automatically kick into gear when you stand. This leads to what doctors call morning stiffness. But in reality, it's much more than stiffness. It's a hidden circulation problem that undermines your strength. I remember treating Mr. Howard, a 68-year-old retired bus driver. Every morning, he described the same struggle. "Doc, I feel like my legs are made of concrete when I first get up. It takes me half an hour before I can even trust myself to walk down the stairs." He thought it was just arthritis, but after examining him, I realized poor circulation was at the root. His blood pressure dipped at night, and when he stood up suddenly, blood pooled in his legs instead of rushing to his muscles. The result: weakness, dizziness, and several near falls. This isn't just his story. It's common for anyone over 60. As we age, the body naturally produces less nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels and allowing smooth blood flow. With stiffer arteries and reduced nitric oxide, muscles don't get the oxygen and nutrients they need upon waking. That sluggish circulation makes your legs feel heavy, unsteady, and unreliable. Now, here's the part most seniors don't realize. Circulation issues in the morning can worsen over time if ignored. When your muscles don't get enough oxygen first thing in the day, they begin to lose endurance. Weak muscles then place extra stress on joints, especially the knees and hips, leading to faster wear and tear. Before long, you're not only dealing with morning weakness, you're battling chronic pain and reduced mobility throughout the day. Let me share another detail many don't know. Studies show that blood viscosity, how thick your blood is, tends to increase overnight. When you wake up, your blood is literally stickier, and it moves less efficiently through the vessels. For younger people, this usually isn't an issue. But for seniors, thicker morning blood can lead to clot circulation blockages, and yes, even heart attacks or strokes right after getting out of bed. It's no coincidence that hospitals report more cardiac emergencies in the early morning hours than at any other time. For Mr. Howard, we implemented a few small changes. Instead of rushing straight out of bed, I taught him to sit for a few moments, roll his ankles, and stretch his calves before standing. We also added a gentle habit to his mornings that re-energized his circulation. Within a month, his legs no longer felt like concrete blocks. He regained confidence to walk his dog again, something he had avoided for nearly a year. Think about your own mornings. Do you notice your legs feel heavy, stiff, or unreliable when you first rise? Have you ever felt dizzy or weak after standing too quickly? These aren't just signs of aging. They are warning signals from your circulation system that your legs aren't getting what they need. The good news is that you can fight back. You don't need expensive machines or endless medication. What you need is to reactivate your circulation early, before your first steps of the day. And it begins with a surprisingly simple habit that most seniors don't even think about. Yet it can completely transform how strong your legs feel. If circulation shocked you, wait until you see what happens when seniors neglect the most basic fuel for muscle activation. Because if you're skipping this one step, you're forcing your legs to work with the brakes on. And the result: even greater weakness and risk of falls. When you think of fueling your body in the morning, most people imagine food. But the very first fuel your muscles and circulation depend on is far simpler: water. Unfortunately, many seniors skip it. They wake up, shuffle toward the coffee pot, and pour themselves a hot cup before even considering a glass of water. And that simple choice silently sabotages their legs. Here's why. During sleep, the body loses water through breathing, sweating, and even the skin. After 6 to 8 hours, you're already mildly dehydrated the moment you open your eyes. For a younger adult, this might not matter much. But for someone over 60, even mild dehydration thickens the blood, reduces circulation, and makes muscles slower to respond. This is why skipping morning hydration leaves you feeling sluggish, dizzy, or weak on your first steps. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mrs. Eleanor, a 74-year-old widow who loved tending to her garden. Every morning she rushed straight to her coffee pot, thinking caffeine would give her the energy she needed. But within minutes of stepping outside, she often felt her legs wobble, and once she collapsed while carrying a watering can. Fortunately, her neighbor was nearby to help her back inside. When she came to my clinic, we discovered that her morning blood was dangerously thick, and her electrolytes imbalanced, all signs of chronic dehydration made worse by coffee acting as a diuretic. The medical truth is undeniable. Muscles need water to contract properly. Without enough hydration, the delicate balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium inside your cells shifts, making it harder for nerve signals to tell your legs what to do. Imagine trying to start a car without oil. The engine strains, sputters, and eventually fails. That's exactly what happens to muscles. When dehydration sets in, they falter, tighten, and become prone to cramps and weakness. Another overlooked fact is that hydration affects balance. The inner ear, which helps control stability, depends on fluid levels to send accurate signals to the brain. Seniors who start their day dehydrated often experience dizziness, vertigo, or unsteadiness, conditions that can lead to sudden falls. And as we know, a fall at 60, 70, or 80 is not just a bruise. It can mean months of recovery, surgery, or even permanent disability. For Mrs. Eleanor, the solution was surprisingly simple. I asked her to drink 1 glass of water, just 250 milliliters, before anything else touched her lips in the morning. Within 2 weeks, she told me her legs felt lighter, her steps more sure, and her dizzy spells had nearly disappeared. Within a month, she was back in her garden, moving with confidence. One small change completely transformed her mornings. Now ask yourself, what's the very first thing you drink after waking up? If your answer is coffee, tea, or even juice, you may be setting yourself up for thicker blood, slower circulation, and weaker legs. The body doesn't ask for caffeine first. It begs for water, and giving it what it needs immediately after waking could be the easiest way to restore leg strength you thought was gone for good. Of course, hydration alone won't rebuild your muscles. You need fuel to repair and strengthen them. And the timing of that fuel matters more than most seniors realize. Because if you're waiting too long to give your body protein in the morning, you may be unknowingly starving your legs of the very building blocks they need to stay strong. And that mistake can silently accelerate muscle loss day after day. When you wake up, your muscles are in a fragile state. They've gone without fuel for 6 to 8 hours, sometimes even longer. During this fasting window, the body quietly breaks down muscle proteins for energy. That's why the timing of protein intake is so critical for seniors. Waiting too long to provide your muscles with amino acids means you're allowing breakdown to outpace repair. And nowhere does this show up more quickly than in your legs. I once treated Mr. Robert, a 70-year-old retired engineer. He believed he was doing everything right, eating plenty of protein, exercising, and staying active. But when I asked him about his morning routine, he admitted that he usually didn't eat breakfast until late morning or even lunchtime. "I've never been a breakfast person," he shrugged. Yet he complained that his legs felt weak and shaky by mid-morning, forcing him to sit more often. When we tested his muscle mass, the results revealed a steady decline, particularly in his thighs. The culprit wasn't just aging, it was delayed protein intake. Here's the science. As we age, our muscles become resistant to the signals that trigger growth and repair, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. In simple terms, your muscles require a stronger push, more protein, and more timely delivery to kickstart repair. For younger people, skipping breakfast might not matter. But for seniors, it's like missing the most important workout of the day. Without protein in the morning, muscles continue breaking down, leaving legs weaker and less stable. The biochemistry tells the same story. Amino acids, the building blocks of protein, activate a pathway in the body called mTOR, which signals muscle cells to grow. But if those amino acids aren't present, the pathway stays silent. Think of it like a construction site. With no workers showing up in the morning, the building project simply stalls. For seniors, failing to activate mTOR early in the day means that muscle repair falls further and further behind. Mr. Roberts' case became a turning point. I advised him to add just 20 grams of protein to his morning routine, something as simple as a cup of Greek yogurt with chia seeds or 2 eggs paired with whole grain toast. Within a month, he noticed less mid-morning fatigue. Within 3 months, his walking endurance improved noticeably. He told me, "I can finally make it through the grocery store without leaning on the cart." For him, the difference was not more supplements, but simply shifting protein earlier in the day. This isn't about eating a massive breakfast. In fact, large heavy meals can cause other issues like blood sugar spikes or sluggish digestion. What matters is supplying enough high-quality protein soon after waking. Even a modest serving 15 to 20 grams can make the difference between legs that weaken with each step and legs that remain strong and steady. If you're wondering, does it really matter when I eat my protein? Let me assure you it does. Research shows that distributing protein evenly throughout the day, starting in the morning, helps seniors preserve more muscle mass than eating it all at once in the evening. And because the legs carry your body with every step, they're the first to benefit when they are properly fueled. So take a moment to reflect. What was the last thing you ate this morning? Did it include protein? Or was it just toast, coffee, or juice? If your legs have been feeling weaker, shakier, or less reliable, the answer may lie in what's missing at the very start of your day. But protein isn't the only overlooked factor. Even with proper nutrition, if you ignore the body's natural stiffness after sleep, you're setting yourself up for another silent enemy: tight, unprepared muscles that refuse to cooperate. And that brings us to the next essential morning habit: stretching. Done right, it can unlock strength and stability you didn't realize you still had. Even if you've fueled your body with water and protein, your legs still face another hidden obstacle every morning: stiffness. After hours of lying, still joints lose lubrication, muscles shorten slightly, and tendons tighten. For younger people, this might just mean a few creaky steps. But for seniors, that stiffness can be the deciding factor between a steady walk and a dangerous fall. I think of Mrs. Caroline, a 76-year-old grandmother who adored taking her grandchildren to the park. She often told me that mornings were her enemy. "It feels like my knees are locked shut when I first get out of bed," she said. On more than one occasion, she stumbled in the hallway simply because her muscles weren't ready to cooperate. She thought her problem was arthritis, and while that played a role, the real culprit was a lack of morning stretching. Here's what many seniors don't realize: during sleep, synovial fluid, the natural lubricant inside joints, settles and thickens. Without movement, it doesn't circulate properly. That's why your knees, hips, and ankles feel rusty in the morning. A gentle stretch routine acts like oil for your joints, spreading that fluid and restoring flexibility before you put your full weight on them. From a neurological perspective, stretching also wakes up the communication between brain and muscles. The body relies on sensory feedback signals from muscles and joints that tell the brain where your limbs are in space. When you skip stretching, that feedback is delayed, which means slower reactions and poorer balance. For someone over 60, even a 1-second delay can be enough to cause a fall. But stretching isn't just about avoiding falls. It directly boosts circulation. By lengthening muscles, you temporarily compress and release blood vessels, encouraging blood to flow more freely through the legs. This rush of oxygen and nutrients not only reduces stiffness but also energizes the muscles for the day ahead. Mrs. Caroline was skeptical at first. She had never been the exercise type and thought stretching sounded complicated. But I gave her a simple routine. While sitting on the edge of her bed, rotate her ankles, flex, and extend her knees, and gently reach for her toes. The whole process took less than 5 minutes. After 2 weeks, she reported that her mornings were no longer a battle. Her knees felt looser, her steps steadier, and she hadn't stumbled once. By the 3rd month, she was back to walking her grandchildren to the swings without fear. One lesser-known benefit of morning stretching is its effect on posture. As we age, tight hip flexors and hamstrings can pull the spine out of alignment, creating a stooped stance. A few minutes of gentle stretches help counteract this pull, allowing the spine to straighten and reducing the strain on leg muscles. A taller, more aligned posture translates directly into more efficient walking and stronger feeling legs. So ask yourself, when was the last time you stretched in the morning before taking your first steps? If the answer is never or rarely, your stiffness is silently working against you. The solution doesn't require yoga mats, gym memberships, or complicated routines. It requires consistency, just a few minutes each day. Still, stretching alone won't protect your legs if what you eat immediately afterwards sabotages all that effort. Because for many seniors, the biggest enemy of strong, steady legs hides not in skipped routines, but in what's sitting on the breakfast table. And it may surprise you to learn that the most common culprit is sugar. Picture this. You've hydrated, eaten some protein, and stretched your stiff muscles. You feel ready for the day? Then you sit down to breakfast, only to undo all that progress with a hidden enemy, sugar. For many seniors, sugary cereals, pastries, or even fruit juices are morning staples. But what feels like comfort food is actually setting a trap for your muscles and circulation. Take the case of Mr. Dennis, a 69-year-old former accountant. He prided himself on keeping his cholesterol under control and thought he was eating healthy by starting his mornings with a bowl of bran cereal, a banana, and a glass of orange juice. Within an hour of breakfast, though, he often felt exhausted and shaky in his legs. On one occasion, his knees buckled as he was carrying laundry down the stairs, nearly causing a fall. When he came to see me, we ran blood tests. The culprit was clear. His breakfast was flooding his system with sugar, spiking his blood glucose, and then crashing it just as quickly. That sudden drop left his muscles underfueled and his circulation sluggish, causing weakness and instability. Here's the medical fact: as we age, the body becomes less efficient at handling sugar. Insulin sensitivity decreases, meaning glucose lingers longer in the bloodstream. Morning sugar spikes can be especially damaging because muscles are already in a fragile state after an overnight fast. Instead of receiving a steady supply of energy, they get overwhelmed and then starved, leaving the legs weak and unreliable. Few people realize that sugar also stiffens blood vessels. Through a process called glycation, sugar molecules attach to proteins in the arteries, making them less flexible. Stiffer arteries mean reduced blood flow to the legs, which in turn accelerates fatigue and muscle decline. In other words, that innocent sweet breakfast is quietly robbing your legs of the strength you need most. But sugar's danger doesn't stop at circulation. High morning sugar disrupts electrolytes, particularly magnesium and potassium, which are essential for muscle contraction. Without these minerals in balance, your legs are more prone to cramps, weakness, and even sudden giving way. When I explained this to Mr. Dennis, he was stunned. I thought juice and cereal were the healthier choice, he admitted. Together, we replaced his breakfast with plain Greek yogurt, fresh berries, and a handful of nuts. The natural sugars in berries are balanced by fiber, protein, and healthy fats, preventing dangerous spikes and crashes. Within weeks, he noticed that his legs felt steadier in the mornings, and his midday fatigue had vanished. The shift was more than physical, it was emotional. For the first time in years, he told me, "I feel like I can trust my legs again." So if your breakfast includes muffins, donuts, flavored yogurt, or juice, I want you to pause and think. Is that sweet start worth the risk? Sugar in the morning doesn't give you lasting energy. It tricks your body, starves your muscles, and weakens your legs. The good news is that replacing sugar with balanced, protein-rich options can reverse this cycle in just weeks. Instead of sugar highs and lows, your muscles receive steady fuel, your circulation flows more freely, and your legs regain their strength. But sugar isn't the only overlooked factor in the morning. Even seniors who hydrate, stretch, and eat balanced breakfasts often miss one simple natural element that makes a world of difference. In fact, avoiding this step can leave your bones fragile and your legs unsteady. And it has nothing to do with food, it's about light. When people think of leg strength, they often picture muscles, protein, or exercise. But there's another factor just as important, and it comes not from food, but from the sun. Morning light is one of the most overlooked tools for strong bones and steady legs. Yet so many seniors miss it by staying indoors, pulling the curtains, or waiting until later in the day to step outside. I recall Mrs. Jean, a 71-year-old retired librarian, who came to me with a troubling problem. Doctor, she said my legs feel weaker every month even though I eat well and take my vitamins. When I asked about her morning routine, she confessed that she rarely left the house before noon. She lived alone and felt safer staying inside, often reading or watching television until afternoon. Her diet was balanced, but her vitamin D levels were dangerously low. That deficiency left her bones fragile and her leg muscles prone to fatigue. Here's the medical truth. Vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption, the very process that keeps bones dense and strong. Without enough vitamin D, even the best diet rich in calcium won't protect against bone thinning. And where does most of our vitamin D come from? Sunlight. Specifically, early morning sunlight, when the rays are gentle but effective at triggering vitamin D production in the skin. The impact of missing this step is profound. Weak bones increase the risk of fractures, while low vitamin D directly weakens muscles, making legs feel heavy and less responsive. Studies have shown that seniors with vitamin D deficiency are far more likely to fall and far less likely to recover quickly from injuries. But there's more. Morning light doesn't just boost vitamin D, it also resets your circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock. A properly tuned circadian rhythm improves sleep quality, hormone balance, and daytime energy levels. Poor sleep and hormonal imbalance, on the other hand, drain your muscles of the energy needed to stay strong. That's why seniors who avoid sunlight often complain of both weak legs and constant fatigue. Mrs. Jean's transformation was inspiring. I asked her to spend just 15 minutes outside each morning walking slowly in her garden while the sun was still low. She also added a vitamin D-rich breakfast food, like fortified milk and eggs. Within a month, she noticed her legs no longer trembled when she climbed stairs. Within 3 months, she proudly reported that she could carry groceries without needing to stop every few steps. Her smile as she told me, "Doctor, I feel like I've gotten a part of my life back," said everything. Another lesser-known benefit of morning light is its effect on balance. Light exposure influences the brain's production of serotonin, a neurotransmitter linked to mood, but also to motor control. Low serotonin is associated with poorer coordination, which means your legs may not respond as quickly when you trip or stumble. By simply stepping into the sunlight, you're not only strengthening bones, but also sharpening your brain's ability to keep your body upright. Ask yourself, how many mornings this week did you step outside before breakfast? If the answer is none, your legs are paying the price. The solution requires no cost, no pills, no equipment. Just consistency. 10 to 20 minutes of natural light on your skin, especially arms and face, can provide what your body desperately needs. Still, even with hydration, protein, stretching, and sunlight, there's another mineral that quietly decides whether your muscles obey your brain's commands or fail at the worst moment. And ignoring this mineral is one of the most common mistakes I see in seniors. Without it, your legs cannot contract properly, no matter how much protein you eat. That mineral is magnesium. Even with strong bones from sunlight and vitamin D, your legs cannot function without one vital spark: magnesium. This mineral doesn't get the attention it deserves, but it is the silent conductor of muscle contractions, nerve signals, and balance. Without enough magnesium, your muscles can't contract efficiently. Your nerves misfire, and your legs feel weak, shaky, or prone to sudden cramps. One patient who comes to mind is Mr. Gerald, a 73-year-old retired postal worker. He was active most of his life, walking miles each day for work. But after retirement, he began experiencing alarming symptoms. His calves cramped at night, his legs felt heavy in the morning, and sometimes his feet seemed to forget how to move when he wanted them to. He feared it was the onset of a neurological disease. When we tested his blood, however, the answer was clear. He was deficient in magnesium. Here's the medical fact: magnesium is responsible for over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, many of which involve muscles and nerves. It regulates calcium flow in and out of cells, essentially acting as the switch that allows muscles to tighten and then relax. Without it, Muscles stay tense or fail to contract properly. Seniors are especially vulnerable to deficiency because aging kidneys excrete more magnesium, and common medications like diuretics, proton pump inhibitors, and some blood pressure drugs further drain the body's reserves. The result? Weakness, trembling, and even falls. What's more, magnesium deficiency also disrupts energy production at the cellular level. The mitochondria, your body's power plants, need magnesium to generate ATP, the energy currency that fuels every step you take. Without it, your legs tire quickly, no matter how well you eat or exercise. But magnesium's importance doesn't stop with muscles. It plays a key role in nerve transmission. Without enough, nerve signals travel more slowly, leading to delayed reactions. Imagine tripping on a rug. Your brain sends a message to lift your foot, but the signal arrives a fraction of a second too late. That delay could be the difference between catching yourself and falling hard. When I explained this to Mr. Gerald, he was shocked. I thought cramps were just part of getting old, he told me. We worked on adding magnesium-rich foods to his mornings: a small bowl of oatmeal topped with pumpkin seeds, a handful of almonds, or a spinach omelet. Within a month, his cramps diminished. Within 3 months, he reported, "My legs finally feel under my control again." There's also a lesser-known truth: low magnesium worsens circulation by increasing arterial stiffness. This means blood has a harder time reaching the muscles, compounding the weakness already caused by poor contractions. It's a vicious cycle, one that only magnesium can break. Sadly, many seniors assume a daily multivitamin covers this need, but most contain little or no magnesium. That's why focusing on real food sources, or in some cases a supplement under medical supervision, is essential. Good morning options include pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, leafy greens, or even a small serving of beans. Ask yourself, have you noticed unexplained cramps, twitching, or weakness in your legs? Do your muscles feel slow to respond even when you're eating well and staying active? These could be the whispers of magnesium deficiency. Ignoring them allows weakness to creep in silently until one day your legs fail when you need them most. But magnesium isn't the only silent morning danger. Even if you fuel with water, protein, and minerals, one common ingredient in the breakfast table can quietly stiffen your arteries and reduce your leg endurance. And the surprising part, many seniors think they're being careful, yet they're overdoing it every morning. That hidden culprit is salt. For decades, seniors have been warned about salt and its effect on blood pressure. But what many don't realize is that the very first meal of the day, breakfast, can load the body with enough sodium to stiffen arteries and drain leg endurance before the day has even begun. Hidden in breads, processed meats, cheeses, and even healthy cereals, salt quietly sabotages circulation, leaving your legs weaker with every step. Let me share the story of Mr. Allen, a 75-year-old retired mechanic. Every morning, he enjoyed what he thought was a modest breakfast toast, with butter, a slice of ham, and a cup of instant soup. It's light, he told me, better than bacon and eggs. Yet by late morning, he often felt his legs growing heavy, his ankles swollen, and his energy fading fast. When he came to me complaining of constant fatigue, his blood pressure was dangerously high, and his arteries showed signs of stiffness. The real culprit wasn't age alone, it was the hidden salt in his breakfast. Here's the medical fact. Sodium attracts water into the bloodstream, increasing blood volume and pressure. In younger bodies, flexible arteries expand to handle the surge. But in seniors, arteries are already stiffened by aging. The extra sodium creates pressure that further narrows blood vessels, reducing blood flow to the legs. Less circulation means less oxygen and nutrients reaching your muscles. The result? Weakness, swelling, and faster fatigue. Few know that excess morning salt also disrupts the delicate sodium-potassium balance in muscle cells. Muscles rely on this balance for contraction and relaxation. Too much sodium prevents potassium from entering the cells properly, impairing the electrical signals that make your legs move. This is why seniors who eat salty breakfasts often report heavy, sluggish legs that seem unwilling to cooperate. Mr. Allen's case illustrates another hidden truth. Salt at breakfast sets the tone for the entire day. When your body starts in a state of sodium overload, it struggles to regulate blood pressure and circulation for hours. Even if you eat well later, the damage is already done. After we replaced his ham, an instant soup with oatmeal berries and a boiled egg, his morning fatigue faded. Within 6 weeks, he reported walking around the block again without needing to stop and rest. There's also the issue of water retention. Excess sodium pulls fluid into tissues, particularly in the lower legs and ankles. That swelling, while not always painful, creates a sense of heaviness that discourages movement. The less you move, the weaker your muscles become. It's a downward spiral driven by something as simple as the salt shaker. Ask yourself, do you reach for processed foods in the morning? Packaged bread, instant noodles, deli meats, or even canned soups? If so, you may be unknowingly starting your day with a sodium surge strong enough to sabotage your leg strength. The solution doesn't require eliminating salt completely. Your body still needs it. But it does mean being mindful. Choose fresh whole foods for breakfast. Swap deli meats for fresh fruit, instant soup for oatmeal, and heavily salted bread for whole grains. These small changes protect your circulation, ease the load on your arteries, and give your legs the endurance they deserve. Still, there's one final piece to this puzzle. You've seen how hydration, protein, stretching, sugar, sunlight, magnesium, and salt all influence your legs. But how do you put it all together? In the end, the most powerful results come not from one single habit, but from creating a morning blueprint that ties them all together into a routine you can count on for life. And that's what we'll uncover in the conclusion. We've walked together through the hidden risks and overlooked habits that quietly weaken your legs each morning. From sluggish circulation, to skipped hydration, from sugar spikes, to salt overload. Each factor alone may seem small, but together, they build a powerful storm, one that robs seniors of stability, confidence, and independence. Yet here is the hopeful truth: every one of these traps can be reversed. And the difference shows up in weeks, not years, when you commit to a stronger morning blueprint. Think about what you've learned. First, your circulation must wake up with you. Sitting up slowly, stretching gently, and allowing blood to flow prevents those terrifying wobbles and near falls. Second, hydration is not optional. It is the very spark that turns on your muscles and steadies your steps. Third, protein timing matters. Without it, your muscles continue breaking down, silently draining your strength. Add to this the dangers of sugar and excess salt, the benefits of sunlight and magnesium, and you begin to see the pattern. The smallest choices at sunrise decide how steady your legs will be at sunset. I want to slow down here and remind you of something important. Aging does not mean surrendering. Yes, your body changes. Your arteries stiffen, your muscles resist growth, your bones lose density, but knowledge gives you power. The habits that steal strength can be replaced with habits that restore it. And the process doesn't require gyms, expensive supplements, or complex routines. It requires awareness, consistency, and compassion for yourself. Let me share a brighter story. Mrs. Linda, whom I mentioned earlier, fractured her wrist after skipping her morning routine. After her recovery, she committed to a new blueprint: a glass of water upon waking, 5 minutes of gentle stretches, 15 minutes of sunlight, and a balanced breakfast with protein and magnesium-rich foods. 6 months later, she reported something remarkable: Dr. I no longer wake up dreading the first step. I feel steady. I feel safe. For her strength was not just physical, it was emotional reassurance that she could still live independently. So what does this blueprint look like for you? Here is a simple, actionable plan. You can begin tomorrow morning. Hydrate immediately. Drink a glass of water before coffee or tea. This thins your blood, restores circulation, and reactivates muscle function. Stretch gently. Rotate your ankles, flex your knees, and reach for your toes. 5 minutes is enough to lubricate joints and wake up nerve signals. Seek sunlight. Step outside for 10-20 minutes if possible. This resets your clock, strengthens bones through vitamin D, and boosts balance. Eat protein early. Aim for 15-20 grams within the first hour of waking. Eggs, yogurt, or a protein shake are simple, effective choices. Choose wisely. Replace sugary or salty breakfasts with balanced, nutrient-rich foods, berries, nuts, leafy greens, and whole grains. Add magnesium. Include foods like pumpkin seeds, spinach, or almonds to help muscles contract and nerves fire smoothly. These steps may sound simple, but together they create a morning environment where your legs thrive instead of struggle. And if you're wondering what foods are safest to rely on, let me offer a short list of alternatives you can trust. Berries are rich in antioxidants that protect circulation without spiking sugar. Avocados provide healthy fats and potassium for muscle balance. Spinach and leafy greens deliver magnesium and vitamins that calm nerves and strengthen contractions. Eggs supply high-quality protein to fight muscle loss. And oats offer slow-release energy and fiber, keeping blood sugar steady. These are not exotic superfoods. They are everyday items that, when eaten consistently, protect your legs for years to come. Remember, the key is not perfection, but persistence. Missing one stretch or drinking coffee before water will not undo everything. But making the right choices most mornings builds resilience over time. The same way bad habits silently weakened your legs. Good habits silently strengthen them until one day you realize you can walk farther, climb stairs more easily, and rise from a chair without fear. So I leave you with this empowering thought. Your mornings are not a burden. They are an opportunity. An opportunity to claim back control, to protect your independence, and to give your legs the strength to carry you into the years ahead with confidence. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another health tip designed just for you. And remember, your mornings shape your future. Start tomorrow with strength,